Tonight, Senator Mary Isaac addresses controversy surrounding Crown lands that she sought to acquire. Minister Herman Gill-Francis tight-lipped on the discovery of illicit drugs on the compound of a well-known business. And Peter Ras Ipa Isaac takes the ICAR president to task for his recent statements to the press. The details of these stories and more are coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good night. It is Thursday, the 6th of May, 2021. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm Lovelace St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Health Minister Mary Isaac is responding to claims that Crown lands are being sold to her for agricultural purposes. Before Senate on Thursday, Isaac cleared the air, stating that while a memo was generated from the Division of Planning and forwarded to Cabinet, Cabinet never approved the sale of land to her. Nisha Charles tells us more in this report.
According to Health Minister Mary Isaac, the documents circulating on social media bearing her name requesting the sale of Crown lands for agricultural purposes is simply a cabinet memo. She claims that the memo stems from an application placed at the Division of Planning years ago.
What I can tell you this morning is the Cabinet of Ministers never approved the sale of land to me at any price whatsoever. Okay? The cabinet memo was generated from the Department of Planning, where I lodged an application from Crown Lands about 4 years ago to acquire a piece of Crown Lands. I have acquired Crown Lands prior to now, and it was much cheaper than that, about half that price. People do not sell farmland at square footage. They sell it per acre. And if you want to know about me and farming, you can come to my farm in Goodlands, and I will show you what I have.
Isaac says that it is mischief on the part of the opposition to say that she is not a farmer.
When you look at a private citizen, right, trying to acquire Crown lands, this is not anything new, right? People always try to acquire Crown lands, especially if it is you need to use it for agricultural purposes. You need a bit of land for you to do so. You don't need like how many square feet. Okay, so a lot of people acquire Crown lands for agricultural purposes, and that is what I wanted the property for. The land is also been in my family, so to speak. It's lands that my great-grandparents, owned at some point in time, and it is just there. So my intention was to plant some cocoa, and as you know, cocoa takes about 6 years for you to harvest. Right? So you plant it, you leave it there on a piece of land that you don't really need to do anything else. And hopefully, at the end of the day, you will be able to harvest your cocoa crops.
The health minister says that only someone engaged in shady business would point fingers at others.
You are looking at this coming from a gentleman who, when he was in charge of Cricket World Cup, that is the time you had the most controversies on that cricket board. And I used to be ashamed to be a St. Lucian, to know that another St. Lucian is heading an agency that, is being discredited so badly. Then you look at this same gentleman taking up the ambassadorship in the UK, and you know of all the controversies. You know of the Jufali affair. Up to now, we do not know what came out of it. I have searched high and low at the Ministry of Health for this dialysis center, and there's nothing. You understand? So what did we get in exchange for those passports that were given for free, given away, right? And then you have the whole issue of the vehicle. Okay, is that not enough? Should this person even be looking at being in our politics in St. Lucia?
According to Isaac, when the memo came before Cabinet, the asking price was exorbitant, at which point she declined. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Peter Ras Ipa Isaac is taking activist and president of ICAR, Aaron Alexander, to task following recent statements calling for an arrest of Joachim Henry and requesting permission to take 50 pounds of cannabis to St. Vincent. Peter Ras Ipa Isaac says the positions are illogical and Alexander must ensure that everyone knows he's speaking on his behalf and not on the behalf of the entire Rastafarian community.
Recent comments by community activist and ICAR president Aaron Alexander drew comparisons between the incident where a man hurled an incendiary device at a statue outside the Vieux Fort Catholic Church and the disturbance by Joachim Henry at an SDA church. Alexander called out the police force in what he argued was a double standard in enforcing the law. He insisted that Joachim Henry should have been taken into police custody. President of the Imperial Ethiopian World Federation in Cooperation, Peter Ras Isaac, is puzzled by Alexander's logic. He says there is no comparing the two incidents.
My issue is the parallel that he's drawing. And I'm saying that it's inaccurate in terms of his definition of the two incidents. Right now, the parallel that Mr. Aaron is drawing, I have to get involved in this thing because I have to say, listen, while I defended the guy in that instance and based on historical perspective, this is not the same situation. The guy, what he did in the first instance was criminal. He threw fire upon a property that doesn't belong to him. So that was arson. He again attempted to go and throw gas on people, which would be attempt mass murder or something. The situation with Mr. Joachim Henry, and I didn't want to get into it because I thought it was rather petty, the way people trying to blow it over. But I find that when I see the video that they actually put out there, shows me that it was someone who was seeking some kind of divine intervention, was experiencing something, and wanted some form of sympathy.
Isaac also commented on the recent request by the Ayanola Council for the advancement of Rastafari's request under the leadership of Aaron Alexander to seek permission to donate £50 of cannabis to St. Vincent. Isaac says Alexander should have known that such a request would be denied.
This is not a situation where this is an item or a commodity that is legal to come to the island with. So in that case, the government would have a situation where if you have to pay duties, then you could seek concessions. So something that is legally accepted. But something that is illegal, it would be really impossible for them to create a situation where they would be able to give you some attempt to concessionize or take away the question of the rights to carry an illegal item, whether it is the sacrament of the Rastafarian or not. And he could make the attempt to do that, but I think this is something that he should know will not happen based on the illegality of the substance.
The Minister for National Security on Tuesday disclosed that there is no way that such a request would have been approved, and in response, Alexander expressed disappointment, saying that the National Security Minister has been an utter failure on his promise to decriminalize cannabis. Isaac says while the lobbying continues for the decriminalization of cannabis in St. Lucia, nothing will change until it is printed in black and white.
It doesn't change the reality that the law is there. So even if you're lobbying, you're having discussions and so on, the mere fact that this is on the books, it's illegal. That's the reality about it. Some of them said that they have been duped by ministers of government. It's up to them to take just their word in good faith. You're supposed to lobby and lobby properly, that you're going through the stages and you know what stage you're in presently. You don't take just the word in a meeting and expect, well, I'll do something in 6 months' time, and you just take that, on face value. You need to have the process, have your people in place, and let them go through the stages that has been. Because decriminalization of marijuana is not something that's easy. It's something that has a whole host of things to deal with. It's not going to work like that. It never worked like that with alcohol, neither with tobacco, and it's not going to work that same way with the marijuana.
Isaac maintains that when certain statements are made, particularly by people with positions or who represent communities, they need to ensure that such opinions are made explicitly on their own behalf. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
Meanwhile, the Justice Minister has also commented on the calls for Joachim Henry to be arrested.
I'm the Minister of Justice.
Right, I know.
And whatever statement I make here may prejudice whatever investigations are going on. The Commissioner of the Police is the sole authority. He has the DPP with him. If he needs some guidance, he will go there. Whatever decision the Commissioner or the police take, I will support. But I will not make any judgment call on what happened with justice.
In other news, the Justice Minister is remaining tight-lipped about the recent drug bust on the compound of a well-known business place in the north of the island. Criticisms have been leveraged against local authorities, given that such a large shipment of drugs slipped through their fingers. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
On April 27th, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force seized a large quantity of drugs believed to be compressed cannabis in a container within the premises of a business in the north of the island. While a police investigation continues, the RSLPF has informed that the drugs weighed 1.965 tons. There has been much public fodder about the incident, with viral photographs and memes identifying the public business warehouse. However, police did not disclose the name of the warehouse in its official statement on the matter. The Minister for National Security, Hermangild Francis, would not be drawn in to comment on the matter.
How many times have I arrested ordinary people, and have you ever heard me comment? Come on, I mean, I tell you already, try and be fair. I've explained to you that the Minister of Justice makes no pronouncements on matters of investigations. Okay, I don't do that.
Some have argued that the fact that such a substantial amount of drugs was stored at a local warehouse is indicative of serious issues at the country's various ports of entry. Minister Francis in turn explained that there are various ways to skin a cat, as well as deal with the illicit drug trade that continues to flourish on island.
And sometimes you still don't understand that, the police techniques. Okay, so some persons sometimes would commit a crime here in St. Lucia, and I'm sure you remember they wanted the firearm from a young fellow from Report. We had all the information here, but we decided to allow him to go to the United States because the United States wanted him. And as soon as he got there, we gave them the information and they picked him up. So countries work hand in hand, and so it doesn't necessarily has to be done in St. Lucia. So if we go into Barbados and we recognize what has happened, we call our counterparts and they deal with it. That is why we have the OECS and we have
So it may very well be a strategy to have allowed the container to...
No, I don't know about that.
He says the various departments within his portfolio work hand in hand to ensure that issues such as these are remedied.
Coordination between customs, the immigration department, the the veterinarian part of agriculture. So you will see a heightening of those things. Okay, and that is what it is all about.
He says for now, the Royal St. Lucia Police Force is actively investigating the matter, and the public should await the outcome of the investigation. Reporting for Hot 7 News, I am Genevieve Gonzague.
You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us. Still to come. Quick action by the fire service contains a fire in Vieux-Fort. Senator Lisa Jawahir says the state must take responsibility when incidents such as a mother dangling her baby over a balcony occur. And the health minister on the recent lull in the vaccination drive.